All right, on the workbench today is a present from my wife from about 4 years ago. She got this for my birthday, and I suspect she won't buy me another one because I haven't opened the box yet. I suspect that because she told me she's not going to buy me another one because I haven't opened this box. I'm not a big fan of unboxing videos. They must be a good thing for creators to do. I think they're a little bit of a fad, kind of like barbed wire bicep tattoos. Remember when those were cool? So anyhow, I want to unbox this today because this is going to be a fun project that requires no stress beyond just making sure I figure out what to do. So let's get right to it, shall we? This, I think, will be my only unboxing video ever. Famous last words, right? What is it? Well, oh, look at that. I didn't know I got a hat. Let's get a close-up here. Let's make this a good video. All right, in this box, we have boxes. Although, we do have a hat, which I did not know was part of it. And it's orange, so that's cool. In the spirit of orange drop caps, maybe. It is a Mojotone tweed bassman style amp kit. And what I like about it, and this is my third Mojotone amp kit, I like it because it really is well organized. You get what you need. The first amp kits that I did, the directions were virtually non-existent. And I don't know, they do amp classes now. They do like 2-day amp workshops where you build a kit. And maybe they have special instructions just for those classes. But I built a Tweed Champ and a Tweed Deluxe, and you didn't get anything other than the wiring diagram and, you know, layout to go off of. I had built other amps before I tackled their kits. So anyways, you get a nice package like that. Here are some, I'm assuming, hardware. I can see filter caps, knobs, tube sockets, etc., wire. So basically get what you need to do this. I didn't order the cabinet because I'm going to make a cabinet. Oh, what's this? Interesting. Cool. Here is the chassis. And last time when I built the kit, I accidentally scuffed up some of the screen printing, or however they make their lettering, the ink on the chassis. These must be the transformer output power transformers. They got the bill of materials. Let's see what they have in this kit. So yeah, so they give you everything that's in there. There's the filter cap board, schematic, the layout, and when I got the, oh my god, yeah, January of 2015, it's now 2020. 5 years, holy buckets. That's pretty shameful to wait that long. Unfortunately, I have a million projects. All right, so let's get rid of that. So nice transformer. Another transformer, I'm guessing. So we've got power transformer, output transformer, which, talk about that in a second here. What I'm not seeing is the circuit board, which I'm guessing the boards are in here. Aha! What do I got here? Another transformer. Oh, a transformer coupled probably to the output tubes. Power cord, fiber boards, circuit boards. And then this is like an insulator, so once you have your circuit board assembled, you don't have any of those leads on the underside of your board shorting out on the chassis. That would suck. Same thing here. These are for the filter caps. Insulator board there. I'm guessing maybe they provide that for the filament, which is nice because the deluxe kit, and I think the tweed kit, had the cloth wire that was green, which is the way old fenders were. And as you're wiring your filaments, it's easy to accidentally flip a wire, which they'll still work, but be a little noisier than it should be. So it's something that you check as you're working on old Fender amps to make sure all the filament is wired right. Nice little chassis here. And I need to be careful this time that I don't scuff up the lettering. So let's talk about what my thoughts are for the build itself. The one thing that I don't want to do is build a super authentic, perfect copy of an old Bassman. And that might be sacrilegious to some, but it has features that I really don't think I am interested in at all. First thing, these fiberboard circuit boards, I'm gonna make my own and use epoxy glass or whatever that phenolic type material is for the boards instead of this. I may actually do turrets instead of eyelets. I haven't decided that yet. So I'm gonna replace these. I'm gonna make my own. And I'm going to draw the chassis and draw the transformers in CAD so that I can design a cabinet. The last thing I want to do is create an exact copy of a Bassman from the 50s. I do not want another 410 amplifier, which could be problematic for the output transformer if this is 2 ohms, and I'm looking right here, and it's 2 ohms. So that could be a problem for me. I kind of want to make a 12-10 combo cabinet, so I need this chassis drawn up accurately, including the openings, the transformers, everything the way it would mount. So I've got like the tubes I can put in CAD and kind of see exactly where this chassis is in space, see where the transformer is. And I was thinking, you know, the chassis sits like this in the amplifier. Maybe there's a way to make this chassis sit on the front of the amp, so when you're looking down at it, you can see the dials facing you. Maybe not, I don't know off the top of my head. And then maybe the 12 will fit on the left and the 10 can sit on the right, depending upon where the output transformer is coming off. Maybe there'll be clearance, etc., etc. I just want this to be able to model a cabinet any way I want it. And I've done that in the past. That's how I did the first 3 amplifiers that I made. I modeled the chassis and everything, and then I made my own cabinets for those. So I'm gonna do that again here. Now, what about the Bassman design do I not want? I don't need 4 inputs. For me, that's ridiculous. So if anything, I might go with a high-low. So the hotter input for single coils, the little lower input for humbuckers, and maybe you want to plug in with single coils and drive it a little harder, or humbuckers, you know what I mean. So that would give me at least 2 openings here to do something with. And maybe I do a bright switch where I take the cap off of the cathode resistor on the preamp. The other thing is I'm not going to have 2 channels. So that frees up half of the first tube. And so I'll have maybe 1 volume here, maybe a bright switch here. And I'm thinking of ideas for this second one. So 2 inputs, a bright switch, and then maybe a pot with a smaller knob right here to do something at the preamp end of things. And then, you know, I'm not going to have 2 separate volumes here. I will have the treble, bass, middle, and presence control. That'll be cool. So I have to sit down and look at the schematic and really think about what I want and how I can do it. And I'll say this now, I'm not a tube amp designer expert or anything like that. I'm kind of a what you would call an obsessive hobbyist. So I'm knowledgeable about it, but I'm not an expert. I'm sure at times I'll be turning to people that are smarter than I am for advice, which I love to do because the world is full of people that are a lot smarter than I am. So that's where we're at right now. And I think I need to take a picture of this and send it to my wife and say I'm ready for my next amp kit so I can start that in 5 years. What the heck do I do next? Okay, fire up the computer. Let's draw this. And what I'm going to do in CAD is I'm going to draw the full chassis. in 3D, so I can flip it, spin it, including all of the actual locations for all of the holes, the chassis mounts, etc. And it's a little bit different chassis design than I remembered from the Deluxe, so it really shouldn't be that hard. And then I'm going to have a top view perspective, and I'm going to have a bottom view perspective with all of these appropriate layouts here. My brain is already spinning because I'm thinking, oh, well, if this was on the front of the amp and you didn't have to reach over the amp and be looking at all the indicators upside down, that could be cool because the transformer comes off the back of this chassis. Maybe on the upper left side could be the 10-inch speaker, and then on the lower right side could be the 12-inch speaker. And I'm not committed to that design just yet. The other thing that I thought would be cool to do is consider neodymium speakers, which are really light, and I've heard people say they don't like the sound of them, blah, 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 blah. Maybe there's a way to voice the amp a little bit differently to excel with the neodymium. Kind of done carrying my super reverb to shows. I'd like to be able to gig with this amp, but I want it to be light. I want the cabinet to be light. So maybe I'll do a 210, maybe I'll do a 12 and a 10, maybe I'll just do a 12. I think those are my options. And if I could do neodymium to keep it light, and like I said, tweak the circuit to sound better. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a speaker design expert, but that's kind of the complaint, that the neodymium are a little harsh, a little bright. I don't know. The new Fender ToneMaster series amps use them, so maybe the technology is coming a long way since the earlier ones. Who knows? It's time to sit down, draw this up, and then draw the circuit board up so that I can order the materials for that. And then I'm going to have to decide turrets or eyelets. All right, the bench is an absolute mess. It is late. I have been working diligently on drawing up different components for this amp build. Now that I've got these in here, I can begin to think about what this cabinet is going to be like. Once I get the kind of the cabinet where I think I want it, well, then a whole new adventure is going to take place trying to rethink the basic features of a classic Tweed Bassman. I don't want to change the circuit a bunch, but I do want to kind of change the feature set a little bit, and that's a whole nother story. So let's take a look at the computer here and see what we've got cooking. I started with the chassis, and we can zoom in here and take a look at the chassis. It doesn't have sides on it, but the location of all the holes, fuse holder inputs, everything, the lamp, that's all accurate. Looking at the back, I've got the opening for the transformer, all the holes, wire holes, mounting holes for the other transformer there. And then I have got all of the accurate openings for power cord, rectifier, output tubes, preamp tubes. Everything is there. I've worked up a little panel with all of the numbering two different ways, the traditional way and a reverse way, so that if you're standing at this amplifier and the chassis is in back of the cabinet like it normally is, the numbers would be facing you. The Blues Juniors at some point, they finally figured out, hey, let's face the numbers towards the player. That's a good thing. I might try to do that. I may end up having this chassis in the front of the amp, but in order to do that, I had to draw some transformers. So let's take a look at the transformers here. So we have on the right side here the power transformer, then the choke. I think that's regulating the voltage to the 6L6s. I don't know. It's late. And then the output transformer there. And then I did make it a point to draw the circuit boards, and I didn't draw the components on this one, but I'm going to end up having standoffs. I got to figure out what length of standoff I want. There would also be an insulator board on the underside of this circuit board, so that location can move around. So originally I did want to locate the filter cap board in here next to this circuit board, and so I drew that up, and it looks like it fits up and down there, but if you notice, it looks too close to the tube sockets. And anybody that's experienced with amp designs probably is laughing because they said, of course it doesn't fit in there. But I wanted to try. But then when you get the tube sockets in there, obviously you see that does not work. So 86 that. You can see the tube sockets here. And then along the back side, they have holes for a cap pan cover for the filter caps, because that is the location about where they go. This will also be on a standoff and have an insulator board underneath it. But I have to order the filter cap pan. The kit didn't come with it because I'm sure the original amps didn't have it. Well, I'm guessing the original amps didn't have it, and that's why they don't include it in the kit. So I'm going to order that because I don't want these filter caps just exposed. It's probably really easy to forget. Maybe they're charged up and you got to take the chassis out and you get a good old zap. These 4 holes here, 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 and here, those are the ones that I am guessing the cap pan mounts to. These 2 holes in the circuit board are for wires. Everything is drawn to scale. And then in order to figure out in space, I have to have tubes. So now I drew tubes, and I'm not sure if that rectifier is the exact height of a GZ34, but I just used the drawing I did of a 6L6. Basically have everything I need to then figure out how I want to design this cabinet. And I'm pretty excited about it. This is more in-depth than I did my first 3 amp builds as far as the mock-up goes. And those all turned out great. So this one is like over the top as far as the drawing is concerned. More information here than I really needed. But I also needed to brush up on my CAD skills here. I'm using Rhino 5 to do this. So I'm pretty happy with this. It is time to shut it down and quit for the night. And we'll see the next step. I have to draw a 10-inch speaker. I still haven't done that yet. So I got to draw the 10-inch speaker. And let's just take a look at that 12-inch speaker. Let's see here. Excuse me while I turn all these off here. Somewhere in my layers, I've got a speaker. So now this speaker is a 12-inch neodymium speaker by Jensen. Obviously not an exact replica, but what's important is the rim here represents the thickness of the basket plus the gasket. And so it's accurate from the front of the speaker that mounts against the baffle all the way to the back here on the magnet. And I just went off of their drawings, their spec sheet, the Jensen spec sheets. And so I basically need to draw this, and I was disappointed to find that they don't make a neodymium 10-inch speaker in a 4-ohm. They have one, but it's for like PAs. So I'm looking at maybe the Jensen Mod series 10-inch. It comes in a 4-ohm. The neodymium 10-inch is an 8-ohm. So I got to draw that, and then I'm going to see how compact I can get this cabinet design, how light I can get it, because if the amp is too heavy, it is never going to go with me anywhere to a show. I'm done carrying 410 combos around. I've got Super Reverbs, I've got Blues DeVilles, and I'm just kind of done carrying 410 combos around. So my hope is I can get some killer bassman type vintage tone, but have it a little bit lighter, a little bit more compact, and it may end up that it just is a 12-inch. I may not do the 1210 combo, but I would have to get a different output transformer. And if I got a different output transformer, I'd have a lot more versatility as far as what I could do with speakers. But I could go on about this all night because I'm pretty fired up about it. It's time to shut it down and on to the next phase, I say.